Recently, this political cartoon rolled by on Macedon, and it got me thinking, which is dangerous. I don't hold much faith in big oil or big coal. I think of them as dinosaurs, which is appropriate. We also shouldn't be harsh on the dinosaurs. It's a little bit difficult to adapt to a giant rock falling on your head. I don't know how you can breed yourself out of dying from it. You'd think these self-declared meritorious elites, aka our betters, would embrace creative destruction and move on to a new profit source. But no, they are primitive, backwards Luddites, rejecting both progress and adaptation to a circumstance they created. I have to ask a basic question. If big business is failing at capitalism, that is, to ensure the joint welfare of both producers and consumers, and to massively misallocate resources, what are we doing leaving capitalism to corporations? They're failing at it. And they are forcing us to go along with their idea of what's best, regardless of what anyone else is telling them. In fact, what everybody else in the world is screaming at them is the path out. They don't want to do it because they're Luddites. So I have this rather heterodox idea. Capitalism is wasted on big business. And money, huge sums of money, are wasted on the very rich. And now, a couple of clips to emphasize my points. Potholer54 is one of my favorite channels. He is a scientific journalist who debunks climate change denial for the majority of his uploads. But one of his more interesting posts that are relevant to this video of mine is a two-part series called A Conservative Solution to Global Warming. The idea of a conservative solution to global warming might blow a few minds, especially in today's media environment. But this is why Peter Hadfield's two videos are so illuminating. First, wrap your head around the idea that a conservative agrees that climate change is real.
I want to address all sides of the ideological spectrum for a moment and hope we can all agree on a few facts. Over the last 200 years, surely we can agree that coal and oil have taken the world from a patchwork of backward rural economies through the Industrial Revolution into the modern age. I used to work as a geologist on oil exploration rigs in the Mediterranean and the North Sea and helped find the fossil fuels that had given you and me all the comforts we now enjoy. Like it or not, that is the economic reality. But we also have to acknowledge the fact that burning these fuels has caused problems like pollution, bad health, and above all raised the level of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere to the point at which it's causing global warming. Like it or not, that's the scientific reality. We're led to believe that the two sides of this debate are those who say the only way to deal with anthropogenic climate change is to dismantle the capitalist system, and those who want to pretend it's all a hoax. I think the majority of sensible people would like to deal with the problem and support the free market system. Normally I wouldn't tackle a subject like this, but I need to address the messages I get every time I make a video about science, suggesting that accepting science is an indication that I must be left-wing, as if all conservatives must be scientifically illiterate, or that science and capitalism are incompatible. So forgive me for spending a couple of videos on how climate science relates to the world of politics and economics. I'll put that away, this whole video is my opinion. But it's going to be an opinion based on facts, and as always, my sources are cited in the video description. I want to show why I think science, a healthy environment, and free enterprise are all essential elements of our democratic way of life. And I want you to meet some of the entrepreneurs and inventors I've met as a science reporter who are leading an energy revolution. But first, how did climate science suddenly become a political issue? After all, the link between carbon dioxide and temperature has been accepted by research scientists since it was first discovered in 1896 and confirmed in the 1940s. But the problem was largely confined to the scientific community until a visionary politician who really understood the science spoke out on the world stage and, for the first time, gave us this stark warning.
I spoke about the global threat of climate change. I set out the magnitude of the challenge we face. Until recently, we've always thought that whatever progress humanity makes, our planet would stay much the same. That may no longer be true.
The second mind-blowing idea is that this oddity of nature promotes regulation and then goes on to report its positive effects on business. And certainly this clip will give you a different perspective on the neoliberal contention that privatization and the private market necessarily leads to the best outcome for everyone, or even anyone.
Top 500 carbon emitters would be hit with a 2.5 million Australian dollar carbon bill. The meat rendering company A.J. Bush & Sons used 24,000 tonnes of coal a year to heat its furnaces and dryers, and over 1 million gigajoules of electricity. Its wastewater was sent to ponds where they emitted methane, further increasing their carbon liability. Altogether, the company was releasing 100,000 tonnes a year of CO2 equivalents. The newspaper reported that manager David Kasulke slammed the proposed carbon tax.
Everybody is to leave here immediately. This cafe is closed until further notice.
As for A.J. Bush & Sons, 8 months after carbon pricing was introduced, the same local newspaper reported on the company again, this time with the headline, "Carbon Tax Turnaround." The company had sought technical advice to reduce its carbon emissions. It covered the wastewater ponds and captured the methane it was releasing, and then used that methane as a fuel source. As a result, it reduced the amount of coal it needed by half. It replaced the old boilers with newer, more energy-efficient ones. It installed solar panels and cut its electricity bill in half. According to the local newspaper report, the manager of the company now says that the taxes had a positive impact on the business and made it more competitive.
How can you close me up? On what ground? I'm shocked to find that gambling is going on in here. You're winning, sir. Oh, thank you very much. Everybody out at once.
Oh my goodness. Their concept of what's beneficial can be wrong. Their concept of what can be harmful can be wrong, which underscores the point that I've been making. Businesses don't necessarily have the best vision. They can actually benefit from regulations, even horrible environmental ones. There is quite a lot packed into the 30-minute part 2. You must watch it. Last but not least, a little clip out of ClimateTown taking down Big Coal as a moribund and, dare I say, dinosaur of an energy source.
Now, I've never actually seen the movie Weekend at Bernie's, but statistically, neither have you. It's just one of those things everybody knows about, which is convenient because puppeting a corpse around for personal gain is a really good metaphor for the coal industry in America. Now, don't get me wrong. For 150 years, the handful of rich people who owned coal mines and coal-fired power plants in the United States were at the top of a thriving industry, fully capable of supporting itself. Not unlike Weekend at Bernie's. I assume. I've never seen the movie. Unfortunately for coal, however, the last 15 years have been a real kick in the stones. Coal went from being the undisputed king of electrical production in the mid-2000s to being passed by both natural gas and renewable energy like solar and wind. Coal power is now so expensive that some utilities are buying working coal plants just to shut them down to get out of their contracts.